The 1950s were a golden age for American horsepower, a decade where fins soared, chrome gleamed, and raw power ruled the road. Today we're counting down the 15 most powerful American cars of the 1950s, machines that didn't just turn heads, but twisted asphalt with their brute force. Some became legends, others faded into obscurity, but all of them left tire tracks on history. Buckle up as we revisit a time when Detroit dreamed big, built bigger, and horsepower was king. 1957 Chevrolet Corvette Fuelie. In 1957, the Chevrolet Corvette stopped being just a pretty face and became a real threat on the American road. The Fuelie was the first true performance Corvette, fitted with a 283 cubic inch small block V8 and, more importantly, Rochester mechanical fuel injection. That meant 283 horsepower from 283 cubes, an achievement that was more than just a marketing trick. For the first time, American buyers could walk into a showroom and order a car with a legitimate 1 horsepower per cubic inch, a feat that made headlines across the country. But numbers only tell part of the story. The Corvette's lightweight fiberglass body, 4-speed manual transmission, and newly tuned suspension gave it genuine sports car reflexes. The throttle response was razor sharp, the acceleration relentless, and the car suddenly felt ready for anything: a twisty canyon road, a stoplight showdown, or even a trip to Sebring. The Fuelie badge became a mark of distinction, and the car's soundtrack, a barking, high-revving V8, was unlike anything else coming out of Detroit at the time. This was the car that announced the Corvette's arrival as a world-class performer. Suddenly, American sports car fans didn't have to look to Europe for excitement. In 1957, the Corvette Fuelie put the rest of the world on notice. America had built a genuine contender. 1958 Chrysler 300D. Chrysler's 300D was less a car and more a force of nature, the culmination of everything the letter car series stood for. In 1958, the 300D received the last and most fearsome of the first-generation Hemis, the 392 cubic inch firepower V8. With dual 4-barrel carburetors, output climbed to a jaw-dropping 380 horsepower, and a rare factory fuel-injected version was rumored to make even more. These were numbers that left the competition gasping and turned the 300D into the luxury coupe you didn't want to pull up beside at a stoplight. But the 300D was about more than just brute force. It was a true grand tourer, opulent, sophisticated, and supremely comfortable at speed. The TorqueFlite automatic transmission was a marvel for its era, shifting with a silkiness that matched the car's demeanor. At the same time, those who wanted the ultimate driver's experience could opt for the ultra-rare manual gearbox. NASCAR drivers took notice, and the 300D's legend was cemented on the high banks as well as the boulevard. With styling that was bold but dignified, and a performance envelope that embarrassed supposed sports cars, the Chrysler 300D proved you could have luxury and muscle in the same package. In many ways, it was the original American Super Coupe. 1957 DeSoto Adventurer. The DeSoto Adventurer was built for people who wanted to stand out in every way possible: styling, luxury, and especially power. For 1957, DeSoto stuffed its flagship coupe with a 345 cubic inch Hemi V8, making fittingly 345 horsepower. That perfect 1-to-1 ratio wasn't just a party trick. It meant this DeSoto was one of the fastest production cars in America, capable of giving Corvettes and Chryslers serious headaches. The Adventurer's mechanics matched its bravado. Dual exhausts, a heavy-duty suspension, and a limited slip differential meant it could handle all that power with surprising composure. Acceleration was fierce, especially for such a big, stylish car. DeSoto dressed up the Adventurer with gold anodized trim and special interior touches, making sure everyone knew this was the top dog in the lineup. But perhaps what makes the Adventurer so memorable today is how rare and bold it was. It arrived just as DeSoto was nearing its end, making survivors scarce and highly prized. Yet for a brief, brilliant moment, the DeSoto Adventurer stood tall in Detroit's horsepower wars, proving that even the underdogs could lead the pack when it mattered most. 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser. When Mercury unleashed the Turnpike Cruiser in 1957, it wasn't just building a car, it was building a rolling celebration of American optimism. The Turnpike Cruiser was massive, brash, and overflowing with futuristic gadgetry. Think retractable rear window, push-button transmission, and enough chrome to make a Cadillac jealous. But underneath the jet-age styling, Mercury had fitted a 368 cubic inch V8 rated at 290 horsepower, turning this luxury cruiser into a genuine highway star. The Turnpike Cruiser was designed for the brand-new interstate system, and it showed. The big V8 delivered effortless passing power at any speed, and the ride was glassy smooth, soaking up miles of road with quiet confidence. The cabin was a showcase of 1950s technology, from memory seats to seat-o-matic and a dashboard straight out of a sci-fi comic. While it was never meant to be a pure sports car, the Turnpike Cruiser was surprisingly agile for its size, and when called upon, it could move with authority. It was a car for people who wanted to arrive in style and make sure everyone noticed. In a decade full of big personalities and even bigger cars, the Mercury Turnpike Cruiser held its own with a blend of flair, comfort, and true V8 punch. 1956 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz. If you wanted to show you had arrived in 1956, you bought a Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz and made sure the top was down. The Biarritz was the pinnacle of mid-century American glamour, blending power and luxury in a way only Cadillac could. Under its dramatic, chrome-laden skin was a 365 cubic inch V8, making 305 horsepower, more than enough to move this rolling symbol of success with real authority. The Eldorado Biarritz wasn't just a pretty face. With its sophisticated hydromatic transmission, power steering, and power brakes, it was easy to drive at any speed. The big V8 delivered its power with creamy smoothness, making highway cruising a serene, almost regal experience. But put your foot down, and the Biarritz surged ahead, leaving lesser cars in its wake. Inside, the Eldorado Biarritz was a palace. Power everything, thick carpets, and enough room for half a baseball team. It was built for captains of industry and Hollywood royalty, anyone who wanted the world to know they'd made it. In the booming America of the 1950s, the Eldorado Biarritz was as much about power as it was about presence, perfectly capturing the spirit of its time. 1955 Chrysler C300. The Chrysler C300 didn't just arrive, it crashed through the gates. In 1955, this car was something different, the first of the legendary letter cars, and arguably America's first real muscle machine. Under its subtly menacing exterior lay a 331 cubic inch Hemi V8, fitted with dual 4-barrel carburetors and rated at a conservative 300 horsepower. That number made headlines, and so did the car's real-world performance. Top speed over 130 mph and acceleration that could embarrass just about anything wearing domestic plates. But the C300 was more than brute force. Chrysler gave it a heavy-duty suspension, fat brakes, and just enough road presence to make even jaded drivers take notice. With its clean, purposeful design, this was a banker's hot rod, elegant enough for a country club, fast enough for Daytona Beach. In fact, the C300 dominated NASCAR in 1955, racking up an impressive list of wins and proving its muscle wasn't just for show. Inside, the C300 wasn't flashy, but it was finished to perfection. Leather seats, thick carpets, and a sense of quiet authority. For Chrysler, the C300 was a statement. America could build a car that combined luxury and performance in equal measure. It set the stage for a decade of innovation and horsepower escalation. The legend started here. 1959 Pontiac Bonneville. If there was a car that captured the full-size performance spirit of the late 50s, it was the 1959 Pontiac Bonneville. Bigger, flashier, and more powerful than ever, the Bonneville rode on Pontiac's new wide-track chassis, which gave it the road presence and handling of a much sportier machine. But the real story was under the hood, a 389 cubic inch V8 with optional tri-power carburation, making a stout 345 horsepower. That tri-power setup, 3 2-barrel carbs, meant instant throttle, a deep growl, and the ability to leave most competitors in the rear view. The Bonneville wasn't just about stoplight drag races either. It offered air suspension, power everything, and an interior that looked like a jetliner's lounge. Even with all its luxury, the Bonneville could run with the best, quickly earning respect from enthusiasts and luxury buyers alike. Stylistically, the 1959 Bonneville was the picture of late 50s American optimism. Sweeping fins, bold colors, and plenty of chrome. But it was the way it moved that left the strongest impression. Fast, smooth, and imposing, the Bonneville helped set the template for the American performance sedan. In a word, iconic. 1958 Buick Limited. No car screamed post-war American luxury quite like the 1958 Buick Limited. This was Buick's flagship, a mammoth cruiser dripping with chrome, fins, and attitude. But behind all the glamour was serious muscle, a 364 cubic inch V8 that pumped out 300 horsepower, channeled through Buick's famously smooth Dynaflow automatic transmission. It may have been built for comfort, but it could move when called upon. The Limited's ride was all about gliding over the road. Buick's advanced coil spring suspension and careful engineering meant quiet, almost eerie comfort at any speed. But stomp on the accelerator, and the big V8 came to life, effortlessly pushing the massive sedan past lesser traffic. For its size, the Limited surprised plenty of drivers with its speed and composure. Inside, the Limited was a rolling palace, quilted leather seats, power everything, and details that made it clear Buick was aiming for Cadillac's crown. The 1958 Limited wasn't built in big numbers, making it a rare sight even then. But for a brief moment, it was the car that proved American luxury didn't have to mean slow. With elegance, innovation, and honest-to-goodness horsepower, the Limited lived up to its name. 1959 Oldsmobile 98. 1959 Oldsmobile 98. In 1959, Oldsmobile's 98 was a rolling showcase of American ambition, wrapped in enough chrome and glass to be seen from space. But the real news was the all-new Rocket V8 under the hood. 394 cubic inches, 315 horsepower, and enough torque to make highway passing a non-event. For the family man who didn't want to compromise, the 98 delivered both comfort and serious muscle. This was a car made for cross-country travel on the burgeoning interstate system. It offered air suspension, advanced automatic transmissions, and a level of smoothness that made even the longest drives feel easy. The Rocket V8 was deceptively quick, pushing the big 98 with a steady surge that never felt strained. Even with the weight of all that steel and luxury, this Oldsmobile could keep up with the best of its era. Visually, the 98 was pure late 50s excess, towering tail fins, panoramic glass, and enough room inside for the whole family plus luggage. Yet, beneath the glamour was an honest performer. The Oldsmobile 98 proved you could have your style and your speed too. 1957 Ford Thunderbird Supercharged F-Code. In 1957, Ford took the already iconic Thunderbird and decided it was time to get serious. Enter the F-Code, Thunderbird. Under the hood was a supercharged 312 cubic inch V8, pushing a thunderous 300 horsepower, with a Paxton McCulloch supercharger bolted on. The T-Bird went from stylish cruiser to legitimate stoplight terror, instantly earning its place among the fastest American cars of its era. Only about 200 of these factory supercharged Thunderbirds were built, making them incredibly rare. But for those lucky enough to own one, the experience was unforgettable. The F-Code wasn't just about numbers, it was about the wild, relentless surge of power, the distinct whine of the supercharger, and the look on the face of anyone who thought they could keep up. Of course, this was still a Thunderbird, with all the comfort and style you'd expect, bucket seats, porthole windows, and the unmistakable two-seat silhouette. But the F-Code was special, a true wolf in sheep's clothing. In a decade defined by optimism and horsepower, the supercharged Thunderbird proved that Ford wasn't afraid to dream big and go fast. 1956 Packard Caribbean. By 1956, Packard was in its final act, but the Caribbean convertible made sure the brand's last bow would be unforgettable. This was Packard's halo car, luxurious, rare, and brimming with muscle. The 374 cubic inch V8 under the hood made a thunderous 310 horsepower, making the Caribbean one of the most powerful production cars in America that year. Dual 4-barrel carburetors and Packard's advanced twin Ultramatic transmission delivered a seamless wave of torque and effortless acceleration, whether cruising city streets or eating up highway miles. Packard didn't cut corners inside either. The Caribbean was a symphony of tritone leather, deep pile carpets, and enough chrome and power features to embarrass even Cadillac. It even boasted an innovative torsion-level suspension system that self-leveled the ride for maximum comfort no matter the load. But it wasn't just comfort. floor it, and the big V8 would shove you down the road with a kind of silent authority that was pure Packard. For collectors, the '56 Caribbean is a holy grail. Only 276 convertibles built, each one a symbol of American luxury and performance at its zenith. Though Packard would fade away soon after, the Caribbean's combination of refinement and muscle remains an unforgettable final flourish, a fitting send-off for a legendary nameplate. 1958 Dodge D500. If you wanted a Dodge in 1958 that could back up its swagger, you checked the box for the D500 package. Available across the lineup, the D500 meant serious business. A 361 cubic inch V8 rated at 305 horsepower, topped with dual 4-barrel carbs and performance internals straight out of Dodge's racing playbook. For those who wanted even more, the rare Super D500 option dialed things up further, putting out even greater power and torque. What set the D500 apart wasn't just what was under the hood. Heavy-duty suspension, beefed-up brakes, and wider wheels meant this full-size cruiser could handle corners and stop just as confidently as it accelerated. The looks were pure late 50s excess, with wild tail fins, bold colors, and a front grille that seemed to sneer at the competition. On the street, the D500 had the numbers to back up its attitude, quarter-mile times that surprised the uninitiated, and a reputation that spread quickly among street racers and enthusiasts. Even today, the D500 stands as a testament to Dodge's willingness to push the envelope, bringing racing tech to the street in a package that was as stylish as it was fast. It wasn't just a badge, it was a promise. 1957 Lincoln Premier. In the shadow of Cadillac's dominance, Lincoln's 1957 Premier quietly carved out its own niche, a stately, sophisticated luxury car with plenty of muscle under the hood. The heart of the Premier was a 368 cubic inch V8, producing a robust 300 horsepower, a figure that put it right in the thick of Detroit's horsepower race. Lincoln engineered the Premier for smoothness above all. It featured copious sound insulation, plush seating, and a ride quality that made every journey feel first class. Yet, beneath the calm, there was real performance. The big V8 delivered its power in a refined, almost silent surge, and when called upon, could propel the massive sedan down the road with genuine urgency. The push-button transmission and power everything features, windows, seats, even air conditioning, were showcases of 1950s technology and convenience. Styling-wise, the Premier was pure Lincoln, broad-shouldered, slab-sided, with just the right amount of chrome and understated elegance. While the Cadillac crowd got the flash, Lincoln drivers enjoyed subtle superiority and the satisfaction of knowing their cars could hang with the best in any high-speed contest. In the luxury power wars of the 1950s, the Premier was a quiet, confident contender. 1955, Imperial Newport. Chrysler's Imperial division set its sights squarely on Cadillac and Lincoln in 1955, and the result was the elegant Newport, a car that exuded presence and delivered real power. The Newport's 331 cubic inch Hemi V8 was conservatively rated at 250 horsepower, but with gobs of low-end torque and Chrysler's PowerFlight automatic, the big coupe moved with authority. This was the dawn of the forward-look era. Tail fins, sweeping lines, and a stance that announced you'd arrived. Inside, the Imperial Newport rivaled anything from its Detroit rivals: thick carpets, power seats, and a dashboard that looked more like a control panel for a rocket ship than a mere car. What set the Newport apart, though, was the way it drove. The ride was whisper quiet and unruffled at speed, soaking up rough pavement with ease, while that Hemi delivered its power with silk-gloved ferocity. For those who craved luxury but refused to sacrifice muscle, the Imperial Newport was the answer. It proved that Chrysler could build a car that was both a technical showpiece and a true driver's machine. In the mid-1950s, it was a car for those who wanted the best of everything, without compromise. 1957 Plymouth Fury. Long before Christine became a horror icon, the original Plymouth Fury was terrorizing the streets for entirely different reasons. In 1957, the Fury came standard with a 318 cubic inch V8 topped by dual 4-barrel carburetors, producing a then astonishing 290 horsepower, an audacious number for a Plymouth. The combination of a relatively light body and a heavy-duty suspension gave the Fury razor-sharp responses and a serious turn of speed, making it a favorite among young, performance-minded buyers. The Fury looked the part too, with special gold trim, unique wheel covers, and two-tone paint that made it instantly recognizable. On the street or at the drag strip, the Fury could run with far more expensive machinery, often leaving bigger names in its dust. Plymouth's gamble paid off. The Fury proved that you didn't have to buy a Cadillac or a Chrysler to get a real performance car. It was the opening shot in what would become the legendary Mopar muscle era. For enthusiasts and collectors today, the 1957 Fury is both a milestone and a symbol, the moment when Plymouth flexed its muscles and the world noticed. From finned rockets to Hemi-powered brutes, the 1950s were an era where American cars didn't just promise power, they delivered it in spades. These 15 machines weren't just the most powerful of their time. They defined an age of optimism, ambition, and pure, unapologetic muscle. Whether they're preserved in museums or still thundering down the road, their legacy is horsepower, and that never goes out of style. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from the golden age of motoring.